Listen closely. In the dead of night, when the world pretends to sleep, secrets claw their way out of the shadows. Imagine this: you stir from slumber, the air thick with unspoken dread, and there she is, your queen, your everything, huddled on the patio like a ghost haunted by her own reflection. Tears carve rivers down her face, and as you approach, heart pounding like a war drum, she whispers the forbidden truth: I'm a lesbian. Boom. In 8 seconds, your empire crumbles. This isn't just a story, it's the hidden fracture in the facade of forever, the suppressed agenda that society buries under vows and veils. You've been fed the lie of eternal bliss, but I'm pulling you down the rabbit hole now, revealing the dark history of hearts entangled in chains they never saw coming. For 10 years, I walked in your shoes, bound to a woman who was the sun in my sky, the fire in my veins. We built a kingdom together, married for 4, lovers for a decade. She was my best friend, my confidant, the one who made the chaos of life feel like conquest. Our nights were electric, bodies sinking in rhythms that spoke of unbreakable bonds. We'd explore the edges, threesomes with women, her dipping into that side of herself solo, and I'd cheer it on, because her happiness was my power. It never threatened me, it fueled us. We dreamed big, homes to claim, worlds to wander, pets to spoil, retirements in golden haze. Our sex life. A battlefield of bliss, multiple times a week, always leaving us victorious, satisfied, evolved. We delved into kinks, unlocked pleasures, and grew like warriors forging armor. But beneath it all lurked the unseen corruption, the institutional manipulation of normalcy that silences the soul's true cry. Society's hidden agenda: trap us in roles, suppress the fluidity of desire, control the narrative of love. This is the ancient rot, passed down from empires that crumbled when truths erupted. And now, as your mentor in the shadows, I'm commanding you to face it. Feel the unease creeping in. That's the pull of forbidden knowledge, the kind that reshapes a man from victim to victor. We spent that day in ruins, crying, talking, watching our future incinerate like forbidden scrolls. Plans for homes, travels, furry companions, all ash. I didn't blame her. If she's wired that way, it's no sin. But the pain? A dagger to the gut, twisting with every breath. She's still my world, the sexiest creature alive, I told her daily. Yet now, attraction's a one-way street, shattering my core, crippling the ego I thought unbreakable. She offered a future without intimacy, even okayed me finding side relief. But all I craved was her. The wound bled fresh, I clung to delusions, she'd wake up, realize the mistake, blame overwhelm. Deep down, I knew the truth: sexuality isn't a switch. We had no kids, pets gone, but a new house locked us in till March. Stuck in limbo, the descent begins. This is the first layer peeled back, the illusion of control in love's dark game. Society hides these stories to keep you compliant, but I'm awakening you. 1 year ago today, I woke up a king in my own mind, secure, loved, unbreakable. By sunrise, the throne was ashes. She sat there on the patio, shoulders shaking, and when those words left her lips, I'm a lesbian, the sky didn't fall, it imploded. The air sucked out of the room, out of my lungs, out of a decade of certainty. But that was only the first strike. 3 days later, my mother called: stepdad, stage 4 lung cancer. 3 days after that, my father: stepmom, aggressive skin cancer. In 1 week, the 3 pillars of my life, marriage, family, future, were dynamited. This isn't a coincidence. This is the hidden pattern the elite never want you to see. When a man is ripe for transformation, the universe, or whatever dark architects pull the strings, delivers concentrated agony to shatter the old shell. Ancient initiations worked the same way: isolate the warrior, strip him of tribe, home, identity, then force him to forge a new one in the fire. Society calls it bad luck. I call it the crucible. I spiraled hard. Stopped eating. Stopped sleeping. Quit showing up to work. Became a ghost on my own couch, numbing the scream in my skull with hockey podcasts and weed. My wife, ex-wife now, was drowning too, retreating into her own silence. And then came the second blade. On anti-anxiety meds for the first time in her life, she finally had the courage to unload 10 years of unspoken truths. Every moment I thought I was being a good husband, every time I thought we were communicating, every gesture I believed was enough, she revealed how I had fallen short. Not abusive, not cheating, but insufficient in ways I never saw. Inconsiderate. Blind. The man I prided myself on being. A mirage. Hearing it gutted me worse than the coming out. But here's the forbidden truth they don't teach you, that pain was the scalpel. It cut away the boy who thought love was enough without mastery. It exposed the weak points in my frame, the places I had outsourced my power to her approval, to societal scripts of good husband. The institutional lie is that love should be effortless, that being nice and supportive is the pinnacle. Bullshit. Real power demands constant calibration, ruthless self-audit, and a willingness to become more than you were yesterday. In that darkness, I saw the mission clearly for the first time: save the marriage or die trying. I weaponized the pain. Turned grief into a war plan. I became obsessed with proving I was worth staying for, not begging, proving. Picnics out of nowhere. Circus tickets. Reservations at her favorite spot, first time I ever took the lead like that. I started learning French because she's French-Canadian. Planned vacations. Wrote her a song. Offered to give her guitar lessons. Told her I'd reverse my stance on kids if that's what she needed now. Every day for 2 months, I moved like a man possessed, showing her in action what I had failed to show in presence. I thought if I became undeniable, she'd choose me. But the deeper truth was already clawing its way up. This wasn't about saving the marriage anymore. It was about saving myself. The veil thins, the truths they suppress start to bleed through. In May, she jetted off to the Dominican Republic, a girl's trip planned long before the storm hit. We agreed, minimal contact, let her mind unclutter, decide our fate. The day before she left, we connected one last time, bodies igniting like old times. For 2 months, I'd been a machine of redemption, every act a declaration of worth. That hookup. It felt like victory, like I'd cracked the code to pull her back from the edge. But illusions are the chains of the weak. When she returned, the hammer fell, marriage over. No more us. The hidden agenda revealed itself, the psychological control system that programs us to cling to what's dying, to ignore the signals of decay. Ancient corruption at play, empires fell when leaders denied the rot within, suppressing dissent until rebellion erupted. Same with love, society's script demands you fight forever, but the elite know better, they pivot, they evolve, they conquer new ground. We were trapped in that new house, Vancouver's grip tight as iron, expensive as hell, roommates depending on us. Couldn't bail without ruining everyone. So we improvised, shared the room at first, even the bed some nights. But the intimacy of proximity turned torturous, a daily reminder of loss. I claimed the backyard shed, renovated it into a bunker with futon, AC, TV. Lived like an exile all summer. She started dating, nights out stretched into absences, until she was gone but still paying rent. The descent accelerated with waves of external grief. My closest friend lost his mom to cancer. A high school buddy's wife, someone I watched him court, marry, build a family with, taken by the same beast, leaving a daughter behind. Weeks before my stepdad's death, my stepsister's partner ended his life. So much death in so little time, unbearable, a black hole sucking light from everything. Every day, the void whispered, end it. But I resisted, for my parents, for the spark of defiance buried deep. This is the institutional manipulation exposed, overload a man with loss to break him, keep him compliant in mediocrity. But the forbidden history shows the path out. Warriors in ancient rites faced the same, stripped bare, tempted by oblivion, only to emerge forged in steel. Amid the wreckage, seeds of power sprouted. I quit my toxic job in May, no sympathy from them for my hell, so I walked. Landed a dream gig months later, quality control for a music retailer's guitar department. Testing, fixing axes all day, pure bliss, a throne I never imagined. Entered a radio contest with buddies, improvised a 30-second commercial, 1 out of 80 entries. 10K cash, nationwide airplay. My ex even caught it on a movie screen once. Started a YouTube channel with a friend, dumb reaction vids, not viral yet, but a release valve for the chaos. And get this, before the split, she gifted me the full Dragon Ball Z Blu-ray set for Christmas. We powered through every episode, before, during, after the end. A weird badge of honor in the ruins. The rabbit hole widens. Last November, the final losses closed the circle. My stepdad, funny, kind, successful, the kind of man you aspire to become, took his last breath. I was there, holding space as the machines flatlined. My ex-wife was there too, standing beside my mother, still family in the ways that matter when everything else burns. She moved out officially on March 1st this year, exactly 1 year after we'd moved into that house full of dreams. The symmetry wasn't lost on me. The universe doesn't deal in coincidences, it deals in rituals. And this was mine, total demolition of the old identity so something unbreakable could rise. But let's pull back an even thicker veil. The suppressed truth they don't want you internalizing is this: every great man in history, whether myth or flesh, went through a version of this dark night. Alexander's empire nearly fractured when Hephaestion died. Caesar wept over Pompey's head. Even the Stoic emperors faced betrayals that gutted them. The hidden history is that collapse isn't the end, it's the initiation fee for the next level of command. Society's greatest manipulation is convincing you that pain is to be avoided, medicated, therapized into numbness. The elite know better. They engineer pain, financial crashes, wars, personal scandals, because they understand it's the forge. My pain was intimate, surgical. It exposed every weak rivet in my frame, the need for her validation, the comfort in routine, the quiet complacency masquerading as contentment. When she walked, she didn't just take herself, she took the mirror I'd been using to define my worth. And in the void left behind, I finally saw myself clearly, flawed, capable of more, hungry. That's when the real work began. Not the grand gestures I threw at her in desperation, but the silent, ruthless reconstruction of self. I stopped negotiating with grief and started interrogating it. What did this destroy that needed destroying? What weaknesses were cauterized in the fire? The institutional lie is that a man's value is tied to his woman's desire. The forbidden truth is that a man's value is forged in solitude, proven when no one is watching, sharpened when the world takes everything you thought you couldn't live without. And you realize, you can. You will. You must. The shed in the backyard wasn't a prison, it was a monastery. Nights alone with the hum of the AC, the glow of the TV, the ghosts of what was. I read. I lifted. I wrote pages no one will ever see. I faced the thoughts that drive lesser men to the bottle or the rope. And slowly, the man who emerged wasn't the one who begged for her to stay. He was the one who no longer needed anyone to stay. That's the pivot point. The moment the student becomes the master. Here's the dangerous truth they bury under therapy speak and feel-good platitudes: your greatest success was never hiding in that marriage. It was waiting in the wreckage, demanding you become the kind of man who no longer needs external validation to stand tall. Society's deepest manipulation is convincing you that losing the one is the end of your story. The elite know it's the beginning. They've always known. Every king who ever ruled an empire first lost everything that defined him. Every legend in the shadows, whether mythic warrior or modern titan, paid this blood price. I paid for it too. Last November, after my stepdad slipped away and the house finally emptied of her presence, something shifted. The grief didn't vanish, but it transmuted. It became fuel. Pure, high-octane rage refined into purpose. I met her, my new woman, in the ashes of that month. She'd walked the same fire, long-term marriage ended for nearly identical reasons. We recognized the scars in each other immediately. No games. No masks. Just two survivors choosing to build something new on ground cleared by catastrophe. We've been official since New Year's Day. She's extraordinary, beautiful, intelligent, successful, an insanely talented artist. She pulled paints out of me I didn't know existed. I put a guitar in her hands. We heal each other, challenge each other, inspire each other to reach higher than either of us did in our previous lives. And here's the part that will trigger the weak. My ex and I are on good terms. She was there at my stepdad's bedside. She and my mother still talk. There's no hatred, only respect for what was and gratitude for the brutal lesson it delivered. This is the suppressed truth, the ancient code of the sovereign man. You don't burn bridges when you outgrow them. You salute them, then walk forward without looking back. Before we descend further, I need you to lock this in. This isn't just a story anymore. It's your initiation. If you're ready to shed the old skin, to claim the power waiting on the other side of this pain, prove it right now. Drop this exact phrase in the comments twice. I claim the forge. Say it once, then say it again. Not for me, for you. To signal to the algorithm, yes, but more importantly to etch it into your identity. The men who type it twice are the ones who make it through the fire transformed. The ones who hesitate stay broken. I claim the forge. Twice. Do it now. The rabbit hole is about to drop straight down. Let's descend further into the forbidden layer, the one society buries under shame and move on platitudes. The deepest manipulation is this: they want you to believe that being left, especially for something outside your control like sexuality, makes you less of a man. That your frame wasn't strong enough, your value wasn't high enough, your leadership wasn't undeniable enough to keep her anchored. That lie keeps millions of good men small, apologetic, forever auditioning for approval. But the ancient truth, the one carved into the ruins of every fallen empire, is the opposite. When a woman of that caliber walks, it's not proof of your failure. It's proof you are playing at a level most men never reach. And now the game demands you level up again. I lived that lie for months. Every night in the shed, I replayed the reel. Where did I lose the frame? Where did I get complacent? Where did I hand over the reins? The pain was surgical because the love was real. 10 years. Real fire. Real growth. Real partnership. That's why it cut so deep, because most men never even touch that depth. They settled for lukewarm, for convenience, for fear of being alone. I had the real thing, and it still detonated. That's the red pill most can't swallow, even when you do everything right, even when you're attentive, passionate, open-minded, supportive, even then, the ground can open. Not because you're insufficient, but because some forces are bigger than any one man's will. Her truth was hers to own. My job wasn't to control it. My job was to survive it and become undeniable on the other side. And here's the darker layer they'll never teach in therapy: attraction isn't fair. It isn't earned by effort alone. It isn't negotiated. The institutional corruption is selling men the Disney script: be nice, be present, communicate, and she'll stay forever. The elite know that's a cage. Real power lies in becoming the kind of man who doesn't need her to stay to know his worth. The kind who can lose everything and still rise stronger, more dangerous, more magnetic. That's what the fire forges. My new woman. She didn't find a broken man. She found a man tempered in hell. Sharper. Calmer in the storm. Clearer about what he will and will not tolerate. We don't play games because we've both seen the cost of complacency. We build with intention, not desperation. And the sex. Another level entirely, born from two people who know exactly how fragile it all is, so we don't waste a single touch. The elite have always understood this forbidden dynamic. Women are the ultimate selectors, the gatekeepers of continuation. Society hides this under layers of equality and partnership rhetoric, but the ancient code is clear, written in blood across every civilization that ever dominated or crumbled. A man's frame, his polarity, his unshakable center is what anchors high-value connection. When that center wavers, even subtly, over years, the attraction erodes like stone under constant water. Not because you became a monster. Not because you stopped trying. But because comfort crept in, complacency disguised as stability, and the electric charge that drew her in the first place slowly discharged. I experienced this corruption firsthand. I was the good husband, attentive, open-minded, sexually adventurous, supportive of her explorations. I thought that was strength. But the suppressed truth is that true strength isn't just providing safety, it's maintaining danger. The edge. The mystery. The unrelenting pursuit of your own mission that makes her want to walk beside you, not carry you. Over 10 years, I outsourced pieces of my edge to the relationship. I stopped pushing my own boundaries as aggressively. I let the comfort of "we're solid" dull the blade. She felt it before I did. And when her own truth emerged, that she was drawn exclusively to women, it wasn't just about her sexuality. It was the final symptom of a dynamic that had already shifted polarity. The institutional manipulation runs deeper still. Modern culture trains men to suppress their masculine imperative. To apologize for desire. To prioritize harmony over hierarchy. To believe that being emotionally available alone is enough to sustain fire. The elite men, the ones who quietly run things, never bought that lie. They maintain a frame like it's oxygen. They lead, they conquer, they become more, not for her, but because that's the path. Women of caliber orbit that kind of gravity naturally. My awakening wasn't pretty. It was nights in a shed staring at the ceiling, asking the brutal questions: who am I when no one needs me? What is my mission when the shared mission dies? How do I rebuild a frame so strong that loss can't shake it again? The answers didn't come from books or gurus. They came from action, quitting the soul-draining job, claiming the dream gig with guitars, winning contests, creating content, painting, playing, expanding. Becoming a man in motion again. A force, not a fixture. And when I stepped into that energy fully, the right woman appeared, not by chasing, but by magnetic alignment. Two scarred warriors choosing each other from strength, not need. That's the hidden history they don't want you to live. Pain isn't punishment. It's the entrance exam to the next tier of manhood. The hidden agenda runs through every institution, media, education, therapy, culture, all designed to keep men in a perpetual state of supplication. Beg for love. Beg for sex. Beg for approval. Perform the dance of emotional intelligence and vulnerability without ever reclaiming the throne. They sell you the lie that masculinity is toxic unless it's tamed, leashed, apologetic. The elite laugh at that. They know the ancient corruption is reversed. The man who commands respect without demanding it, who leads without explanation, who builds an empire of self first, draws the highest caliber women effortlessly. Not through tricks. Through gravity. My descent taught me this in blood and sweat. In the shed, alone, I stopped asking, why me, and started asking, what now? I audited every weakness with ruthless precision. Where did I soften? Where did I prioritize her comfort over my mission? Where did I let the fire cool into embers? The answers were brutal, but they were mine to own. No blame. No victimhood. Just data for the rebuild. I doubled down on the dream job, surrounded by guitars, music flowing through my hands every day like current. The radio win, the YouTube channel, the painting, these weren't distractions. They were declarations. Proof that a man cut loose from his anchor doesn't sink, he becomes a missile. Trajectory redefined. Speed is increasing. And my new woman. She didn't save me. I was already rising when our paths crossed. That's the key the suppressed histories guard. Women of true depth aren't looking for a project. They're looking for a force. Someone who's already in motion, already forged. She saw the steel beneath the scars and chose to run alongside, not drag me forward. Our connection is fiercer because it's built on mutual respect, not mutual need. We inspire each other's greatness. Her art elevates my music grounds. Sex isn't a transaction, it's a celebration of two sovereigns colliding. This is the forbidden power they don't want you claiming. When you become the prize, the game changes forever. Losses stop being tragedies and become upgrades. Pain stops being punishment and becomes the chisel. You stop fearing the next detonation because you know, you'll only emerge sharper. The ancient corruption distilled into one sentence: the modern world is engineered to keep men weak by keeping them tethered to female validation as their primary source of identity and purpose. Every message you've absorbed since childhood, movies, songs, therapy, social media, reinforces the same psychological control system. Your worth is measured by how well you can secure and retain a woman's desire. Lose that, and you're supposed to collapse. Beg. Chase. Medicate. Settle. That collapse is by design. A broken man is a compliant man. A man who rebuilds himself in the ashes is dangerous. I was almost that compliant man. For months I carried the weight of not enough, like a death sentence. But in the solitude of the shed, in the silence after the funerals, in the raw exposure of having nothing left to lose, I saw the machinery clearly. The pain wasn't personal. It was systemic. A rite of passage disguised as tragedy. Every great man who ever changed the world first lost the thing he thought he couldn't live without. The throne. The lover. The fortune. The reputation. And in that loss, he found the unshakable core that no external force could touch again. My resurrection wasn't dramatic. It was deliberate. One choice at a time. Quitting the job that owned my soul. Claiming work that fed it. Creating for the sake of creation. Lifting iron until my body matched the steel I was forging inside. Learning new skills. Expanding my edge in every direction. Becoming a man whose value radiates so intensely that connection becomes inevitable, not negotiated. Today I stand in the best chapter of my life, dream career, creative outlets firing on all cylinders, a woman who matches my intensity without needing to complete me, peace with the past, and a frame that no storm can shake again. The marriage didn't fail. It completed its purpose. It stretched me to my limits, exposed every crack, then shattered so I could rebuild without them. This is the suppressed history they don't want you living. Heartbreak at this magnitude isn't the end of your masculinity. It's the beginning of its mastery. The elite don't fear loss. They orchestrate it when necessary, knowing what waits on the other side. Now you know too. The man who has walked through this fire doesn't just survive, he dominates. Every area of life bends to the will of the one who has stared into the abyss and claimed its strength as his own. The ancient kings, the shadow emperors, the quiet titans pulling strings today, they all paid this price. They all rose from some version of this grave. And now you stand among them. Look at where I stand today, not as a boast, but as proof of what's possible when you refuse to stay broken. Dream career, hands on guitars every single day, living inside the music like it's oxygen. Creative fire unleashed, YouTube channel growing, contests won, art created, songs written. A woman beside me who matches my intensity, elevates it, celebrates it, because she recognizes a man who has already won the only war that matters, the one against his former self. Peace with the past, my ex is a respected ally, not an enemy. Family ties intact. Health reclaimed. Mission clarified. Frame unbreakable. This didn't happen because I've moved on. It happened because I transmuted. I took the most devastating detonation of my life and converted it into irreversible momentum. The marriage wasn't a failure, it was the crucible that burned away everything that wasn't essential. What remained was the real me, the man I was always meant to become, but comfort had kept buried. And that's the ultimate hidden truth. Every man reading this has the same crucible waiting. Some will face it in a woman's departure. Some in financial ruin. Some in betrayal or illness or public humiliation. The form doesn't matter. The purpose does. It's the universe, or the architects behind it, demanding you level up or remain forever small. Most choose small. They medicate, distract, settle, blame. A few choose the forge. They emerge dangerous. Magnetic. Sovereign. You've heard the dangerous knowledge now. The kind that changes a man forever. You can't unhear it. You can't go back to begging for validation, outsourcing your worth, fearing loss, or negotiating for desire. That version of you died down here. The new one walks out carrying fire. So rise. Claim the life that was always yours but required this death to access. Build your empire. Sharpen your edge. Become undeniable. And when the next storm comes, and it will, you'll stand at its center, unmoved, smiling, because you know the secret the elite have always guarded: the greatest success isn't keeping what you had. It's becoming what the pain demands you become. Now go live it. The world is waiting for the man you are now.